After you guys kind of had an up and down last 3 games, how important will it be for you guys to play well in these next 2 games to end this part of the season before the All-Star break well?
Yeah, I think that was the message even before the Celtic game, Hornets or Charlotte game. I think we wanted to play well in these last 5, didn't do so in those first 2, but it was good to get back to playing with the effort and intensity that it takes to win a game against Oklahoma City. And that's the case, the same thing with the Clippers. We want to finish on a good note. Got 2 days off here to kind of recover really quickly and get this back-to-back in, and then obviously it's a race to the finish in those 29 games. So good to get us an All-Star break on the right foot and then build off of that.
I know it hasn't been long, but what do you see as the biggest difference with the Clippers since the trade?
A lot more Leonard, not really splitting the reps like he was with Harden. The role players are playing really well. I got some guys that we just saw with Indiana, Mathurin, and Jackson that haven't played with him yet, but I'm assuming they will. And then Garland with the injury, we'll see about him. But I think it's a very different team as far as Zubac being gone and Lopez, spacing the floor. Collins, Jones, all their role players shooting and playing really well off Leonard, and he kind of being the focal point now.
You built a culture of accountability here. How does that extend between coaches and players? Not only with coaches keeping players accountable, players keeping players accountable, but also players holding coaches accountable.
Yeah, it's everybody in the building. I think we encourage debate, discussion, and speaking freely. And so it's not just us, saying things to players. We really want them to talk amongst each other and not just come from the coaches, but at the same time it goes our way as well. And so there's something they see they like, don't like. Obviously they have the license to speak on it, and they're the ones out there playing, and we may scheme and do different things coverage-wise or run things offensively, but they see advantages on either end, and we encourage them to speak up about it.
Can you give an example from a recent game where something changed in game because of something a player saw?
Yeah, just how we defend specific people, no doubt. I think sometimes we want to go after certain players and maybe give them too much respect, and the players are like, no, we got them one-on-one, we can guard these guys and have less scramble moments. And so that was the case definitely against some of the shy players. Like I said, that's a game.
Looking a little ahead, but the second game go back-to-back, both teams back-to-back. How much does that game come down to not just matchup stuff, but the effort and stamina of the guys?
Well, that's important in a back-to-back, no doubt. I think even more so than that is adjustments and seeing what you did well or need to work on from the first game. So usually if the team has success, they stick with it. If not, you make some tweaks here and there, whether it's matchups or lineups and things of that nature. But the stamina part is part of it, especially with some of our guys that won't play the back-to-backs, and assuming Clippers may do the same.
How much will consistency be the message after the All-Star break?
I think it's always a message for us. It starts with consistent effort and attention to detail, and I think for us, it's been up and down in that area as far as play quality teams. We're locked in, and you see the pace, the movement, the attention to detail. I think the respect overall is higher, and we need to do that with everybody and hold ourselves to a certain standard. But trying to search for consistency, that's the key throughout the whole season.
How nice is it to see Alperen get recognized for his work by getting to the All-Star game?
Yeah, it's great. I think, for me, he's a perennial guy that should be there every year, and motivated to do that and become that and leave no doubt. And so great that he was a replacement, but for him and us, we want him to be there every year and it not be a question, and we feel he is that. But great to be rewarded. Has had big games throughout the season for us, and obviously the huge part of why we are where we are.
Of course, Dorian is trying to get up to speed. A lot of the work he would have did during the offseason, have to do during the season. How do you balance trying to get him up to speed, but at the same time when he is kind of struggling, get players like Isaiah Crawford more minutes, after the positive impact he had the last time?
You said Dorian?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that just happens over time with rhythm and getting your legs and timing back. You saw it with Steven last year. I mean, you got to go in 5-minute stretches at first, and that it's tough to get a rhythm in that. But going big picture, health-wise, that's key for us to keep them in lower stretches. Once you increase those minutes, it'll eventually happen, and the pace of the game is different than workouts and just getting shots up. So part of that is going to come eventually, but I think to inject some energy and juice and a different look to have Isaiah or JD and those guys coming in, and Aaron and our bench guys. It always kind of brings us some life. And so, as much as we rely on starters or the core rotation pieces, it's good to inject that little juice, like I said, and I think those guys have done a great job and called upon.
Coach, what are some of the ways that you can take advantage of some of these teams trying to play our man with the center?
Yes, put him in the spots where he's successful. Like I mentioned, he saw that a bunch his rookie year. And the main difference is that, you had Fred and Jalen out there handling as much, and now he's been one of our main handlers. So initiating the offense he can still do. It's just get to the spots where he's really good as a screener, roller, dunker. You want to attack him that way. And so that all comes down to us getting to our reads quicker with the 5 on him, but also Alperen taking advantage of the non-5. And so teams only do that if they feel they have a wing or somebody that can take guard Alperen one-on-one, and so we got to get Alperen involved in more actions as well when they do that.
Kevin and Alfie are both very expressive guys on the court, and sometimes their communication can kind of seem a little bit explosive. What do you notice about their interactions as their chemistry continues to grow?
First thing is that they talk and don't hold anything back, and I think that's the most important part. That if one guy makes a mistake, the other guy is on them about it. To your point about accountability, it's like, don't just brush it under the rug and act like it didn't happen. They both are very motivated, both leaders of the team, and understand what they mean for us. And so we encourage that definitely from them. But it's not just them; anybody can speak. It's not superstars say something only and nobody else can talk. And so if they're not doing anything, I think coaches obviously do our part, but players can as well. And so that tandem, that pairing is going to be huge for us going forward. And the more they can get on the same page and see a lethal combination, is going to be well for us.
Thank you.
Thank you.